Monica Jackson, a retired Navy SEAL lieutenant commander, had spent over 2 decades serving her country, navigating the most dangerous situations the world had to offer. She had faced combat, led missions, and upheld justice in hostile territories, but never did she imagine that a routine traffic stop would turn into a life-altering battle for truth and accountability. The corruption she was about to uncover would shake the very foundations of the justice system she once believed in. It was an unremarkable evening when Monica pulled into a gas station, parking momentarily to check her phone for directions. The air was calm, the streets quiet. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But that moment of stillness was shattered when Officer Simmons, a veteran cop with a long history of excessive force complaints, locked eyes on her. Something about Monica, in his mind, seemed off. Without hesitation, he made his move. His flashlight beam cut through the dimly lit station, illuminating her face, as he approached with an unmistakable air of authority. "Step out of the vehicle," he barked, his voice sharp, already expecting resistance. Monica, her years of training kicking in, remained composed. She met his gaze, her voice firm yet controlled. "Is there a problem, officer?" "Don't question me."
"Out. Now."
Simmons snapped, his tone making it clear that compliance was the only option he'd accept. Having been trained in de-escalation, Monica knew better than to argue. With measured movements, she complied, handing over her license and registration. But this wasn't about routine protocol. Simmons wasn't interested in simply doing his job. He wanted control, dominance, submission. And when Monica hesitated for even a second at his next barrage of invasive questions, his response was immediate and aggressive. Without warning, he shoved her against the hood of his patrol car. "You're resisting arrest," he sneered, twisting the narrative before she even had a chance to react. Monica's pulse pounded, but she stayed silent, calculating. By the time she was booked, Simmons had fabricated an entire report, claiming she had reached for his weapon, an accusation that could have sealed her fate in an instant. It was his word against hers, and history had shown that officers like him usually came out on top. But this time, Simmons had made a fatal mistake. The courtroom was packed. Spectators, reporters, and officers filled the gallery as Monica sat at the defense table, her hands folded calmly, her sharp eyes tracking every movement Simmons made. On the surface, she exuded composure, but inside, she knew this was about much more than her own freedom. This was a fight against a system that had protected officers like Simmons for too long. Confident, almost smug, Simmons took the stand first. "She was aggressive," he declared. "When I attempted to de-escalate the situation, she reached for my weapon. I feared for my life." A ripple of murmurs spread through the courtroom. Monica's young attorney, Benjamin Carter, leaned in close, whispering nervously, "We need more. His word against yours won't be enough." Monica gave a knowing smile. "Patience, Ben. The truth has its own timing." When it was her turn to testify, she rose with the same steady poise that had carried her through countless high-stakes missions. "I was checking directions on my phone when Officer Simmons approached," she began, her voice unwavering. "He didn't ask for identification, he demanded it. And when I asked why, he escalated immediately." The prosecutor pounced. "So you admit to questioning his authority?" Monica met his gaze without flinching. "I questioned his motives. There's a difference. One that speaks to the heart of this case." Then came the moment that changed everything. Benjamin played a video captured by a bystander's phone. The courtroom fell silent as the footage showed Simmons shouting, "Women like you need to learn how to listen." The room erupted in gasps and whispers, the judge calling for order. The weight of undeniable evidence began to shift the scales of justice. During recess, Benjamin approached Monica, his grip tight on a folder. "We have it," he said, eyes burning with conviction. Simmons' personnel file. Multiple complaints of excessive force, all targeting minorities, especially women. They tried to bury it, but we found it. Monica exhaled, steadying herself. "It was never just about me, Ben. This is for everyone who never got the chance to fight back. And now we make sure they do." Back in court, the evidence was presented. The once arrogant Simmons began to unravel, his confidence cracking under the weight of his own past. His fellow officers in the gallery shifted uncomfortably, the silent wall of support around him crumbling. And then the final blow. Monica stood, once more. "I am Lieutenant Commander Monica Jackson, retired Navy SEAL." A stunned silence filled the room. The jury leaned forward, seeing her now in an entirely different light. "For 20 years, I defended this country's ideals of justice and equality," she continued. "I faced enemies abroad, navigated hostile territories, and led teams through missions that tested the limits of human endurance. But I never expected to face such blatant abuse of power at home, on the very streets I swore to protect." Simmons turned pale. The jury deliberated for less than an hour. Not guilty. But Monica's victory extended far beyond her own acquittal. The jury recommended an immediate investigation into Simmons' conduct and the department's practices. The judge, visibly troubled, ordered a full review of his past cases. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed her, cameras flashing. Monica stood tall, her military bearing unshaken. "This isn't about revenge," she told them. "It's about reform. We entrust law enforcement with power, but with power must come accountability. Today, we took a step in the right direction." Her story spread like wildfire. Police departments nationwide began reviewing their training protocols. Internal investigations were launched. Simmons was dismissed from the force and later faced criminal charges. But Monica's real victory? The conversation her case had ignited. She took her fight beyond the courtroom, becoming a voice for ethical policing and unbiased law enforcement. Her unique perspective, as both a veteran and a victim of injustice, gave her words undeniable weight. Months later, standing on the courthouse steps, Monica watched the sunset, her phone buzzing with another precinct requesting her to speak on reform. She smiled, knowing this battle had become a movement. Her Navy SEAL training had prepared her for war, but her moral compass had led her to this moment. Sometimes, the most difficult battles aren't fought with weapons, but with an unwavering commitment to truth and justice. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to IOP Stories. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers together as we continue sharing stories that inspire change and celebrate resilience. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next chapter of empowerment.